1979, 3 Mile Island. 1986, Chernobyl. 2011, Fukushima. In spite of extreme safety measures, accidents at nuclear power plants do happen. In 2011, there were 442 nuclear power plants operating worldwide, 190 of these in Europe alone. Nuclear energy contributes 25% of Europe's total energy production. In some countries, like France, dependency on nuclear energy is even greater. Nuclear energy will continue to be a significant source of energy for Europe and the world for decades to come. In September 2009, the IAEA Programme for Safe Nuclear Energy in Romania and Bulgaria was initiated. The overall objective of the programme is to enhance nuclear safety in both countries. A grant organisation, Innovation Norway, has funded the programme on behalf of the Norwegian government, and the Bulgarian, Romanian and Norwegian parties have asked the IAEA to undertake technical implementation. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, is the world's centre of cooperation in the nuclear field. It was originally set up as the world's Atoms for Peace organization in 1957, within the United Nations family. The agency works with member states and multiple partners worldwide to promote safe, secure, peaceful nuclear technologies. Its headquarters are in Vienna, Austria.
The IAEA statute authorizes it to develop safety standards to protect health and to minimize danger in the peaceful use of nuclear energy. These safety standards are developed through a consensus of member states coming into the agency and helping us to develop how these safety standards will be applied, what the standards are, and then how they should be applied. When you think of what's occurred at Fukushima, obviously we had the safety standards in place, but certain things arise that make people think again about how to best apply safety practices to nuclear power. The use of an international aspect is extremely important because we are able to tap into experts from around the world to come in and help evaluate what's occurred and to look at how we could modify the safety standard documents.
International cooperation on nuclear issues extends to countries that do not possess commercial nuclear power reactors. Norway is one of these countries.
Norway is part of this world, and in order to achieve nuclear safety in Europe or globally, that's also the benefit of Norway and other countries. So that's part of our, I would say, one of our objectives and what we are trying to achieve in our foreign policy. We are funding these projects because it was an interest by these two countries, Romania and Bulgaria, together with the IAEA to improve their conditions and their improvements on nuclear safety. And when we had a dialogue with the IAEA, but also with these two countries, we agreed that we wanted to support them. And we have done that within the framework of what we call the European Economic Area. We know that nuclear accidents have great impacts on societies regionally, but also globally, and that's why we also want to contribute.
The Norwegian Radiation Protection Authority is the national authority in the field of nuclear safety in Norway. One of its tasks is to closely follow the nuclear power sector in general, particularly in those geographical areas where facilities may represent a risk for the Norwegian population and its interests.
Norway is funding the Bulgarian Romanian nuclear safety programs because as a contribution to the European community. So this is in fact regulated between the European Union and Norway. Why specifically choosing nuclear safety is because this area has been of great importance for Norway for many years. We can maybe go as far back as 25 years, where we had the Chernobyl accident. Nuclear safety is really a transboundary thing. it has to be coordinated and managed on another level than the national sovereign state. Ever since the Chernobyl accident, it has been a movement towards more regulation, more control, more overview on an international level.
The Norwegian Extra Budgetary Programme that we have with Romania and Bulgaria is a nuclear excellence program designed to enhance both the operator and the regulator within Romania and Bulgaria in the operations of the nuclear power plants to improve the safety at the power plants.
March 2011. Nuclear energy regulators, operators and safety experts from all over Europe meet in Poiana Brașov, Romania, to discuss the impacts of the regional programs on safe nuclear energy in Romania and Bulgaria.
I am very pleased and happy to be present here at this conference to mark the finalization of the 2 extra budgetary programs funded by the Norwegian government.
The unique thing about this program is that we're using the funds from Norway not only to provide direct support to the member states, but to also enhance the IAEA's capabilities. So we're not relying on the regular budget process to enhance the agency's capabilities dealing with safety assessment methodologies and safety culture issues. We're able to use these funds to also develop the agency's capabilities in the process of supporting the member state.
Coherent, compatible national regulations is a key issue in the safe production of nuclear energy. In the development and implementation of regional programs on safe nuclear energy, regulators from both Romania and Bulgaria have worked side by side with international policymakers and experts.
For BNRA, this is good that we continue our large international cooperation.
Because we want to maintain this, to maintain our approach in line with the international recognized best practices. That's why any support is very, very welcome for us.
With this project, we just make our scope of activities broader.
My government decided to continue the construction of the Unit 3 and 4 on Nationala site, because this plan started many years ago during Ceausescu regime, but now we want to finish because it's important to have energy and we want to be able to have the nuclear safety standard at the level in this period. That's why we need to have day-by-day preoccupation to maintain our capabilities, and this project helps us.
I think that it could bring only good results that I mentioned before, and we shall continue to enlarge our cooperation within Europe and outside Europe.
And after 2 years, I'm ready to tell that we are now in a very, very good position.
For the national regulations to have an effect on nuclear safety, they need to be implemented by the operators of the nuclear power plants.
One of the dangerous things in the nuclear business is self-satisfaction regarding the nuclear safety.
Проектът Култура на безопасност е изключително важен поради факта, че в момента върви замяна на поколенията, които ще управляват атомната централа.
So even Cernavoda, we have a high nuclear safety standard. Always we are looking for ways to enhance or to improve the nuclear safety.
Знанията, които трупа човечеството при усвояването на нови технологии, са важни не само за една нация, но и за цялото човечество. Освен това, различните нации натрупват различни видове знания, които заедно комбинирани създават едно много важно общо знание.
That's why we look forward to have information and to get to share experience with other power stations, with the agency and so on, in order to every time to be aware about the importance of the safety.
Първият документ е документ как се изгражда култура на безопасност. Вторият документ е документ как се проверява тази култура на безопасност. И третият документ е документ как се подобрява културата на безопасност. Ние искаме тези три документа да бъдат основополагащи за знанията за нашите ръководители и работници, за да могат те за в бъдеще действително да поддържат висока култура на безопасност, която е добре описана, добре класифицирана и може да бъде ползвана като един работен наръчен документ.
So the ultimate target or ultimate objective of all these programs are to enhance the nuclear safety.
Cernavodă Nuclear Power Plant, Romania. Two operating 700 megawatt CAN-do reactors generate 20% of Romanian total electricity production. Owing to financial difficulties and other matters, SNN, the owners of the Cernavodă nuclear power plant, have been forced to restructure the organization. To maintain and improve a sound safety culture is the operator's top priority.
Yeah, for an NPP it's very important to preserve the knowledge, because as people are coming and they work hard and they got a certain level of knowledge, and after that they, for natural reason or for other reason, they leave the organization, the knowledge should be preserved, so that we have programs for replacement of people and to pass the knowledge to the newcomers in order to keep a certain level of knowledge in the organization.
One of the most important aspects of the regional programme on safe nuclear energy is knowledge management. Knowledge management comprises a range of organisational strategies and practices used to identify, create, represent, distribute and enable adoption of insights and experiences.
The Romanian government understands that it's important to help us in this area. Due to the economic crisis, we are in the stagnation period, but as far as I know, in the next future, early future, we will start to increase the capabilities. I am optimistic in this sense.
There are many different reactor designs. At Cernavodă, the Canadian-built CAN-do reactor is used. Currently, there are 29 such reactors in operation around the world. An important part of the Romanian programme was to develop an accident classification scheme, emergency plans and procedures for CAN-do reactors.
In these documents, we have developed the accident classification schemes. These schemes provide an opportunity to make decisions in an emergency based on plant conditions. And making such decisions promptly will help to protect population in case of an emergency. It could be used by other countries which operate CAN-do type of reactors.
The regional programmes on safe nuclear energy are all about sharing knowledge about safe nuclear operation. Kozloduy, Bulgaria's only nuclear power plant. This plant originally had 6 operating units, but only units 5 and 6 are currently operational. The two 1,000 megawatt VVER reactors generate 35% of Bulgaria's total production of electricity. In order to have safe nuclear energy, it is important to have a good safety culture. Safety culture reflects the attitudes, beliefs, perceptions and values that employees share in relation to safety. It's important to remember what can go wrong.
Кирчо, с броят да свали налягане в паропроводите. Затворени. Обединете по YR. Значи, всъщност не. Доси, бруката затворени. По какво са ви тия сигнали? Реактори, парогенератори, а не компенсатори барботе. Мембраната. Сега видях добре.
Значи, имахме всичко беше нормално до момента, в който...
This time it's only an exercise for the operating staff at Kozloduy NPP. An ideal safety culture in a nuclear power plant is where the employees are always well informed and prepared for what can go wrong, and that there are systems in place for continuous follow-up.
Having a strong safety culture in a licensee organization is one of the fundamental safety principles, and it is one of the ways to achieve safety in nuclear installations. At the present moment, BNRA does not oversee safety culture of the licensee. However, by this project, we'll have the opportunity to oversee safety culture and to enforce the licensee to enhance safety culture.
So specific areas within this project are enhancing some of the safety standards, such as safety culture oversight, safety culture self-assessment. These are areas that the agency is still working on developing standards, and this project is going to be utilized to deploy these standards after they're developed.
Safety assessment deals with developing good systems and routines to maintain national and international safety standards. These assessments are submitted to the authorities. Safety assessments are to be undertaken as a means of evaluating compliance for all nuclear facilities and activities to determine the measures that need to be taken to achieve safety.
Safety assessment is evaluation of the safety of a nuclear power plant against some criteria. And those criteria usually are prescribed by standards or by regulations. The safety assessment should follow the best practices, and the best practices are reflected in the safety standards of the agency. Without safety assessment, one does not know and will not know really if a plant is safe. I like to say there's no safety without safety assessment.
A key part of the programme on safe nuclear energy in Romania and Bulgaria is emergency preparedness and response. The Incidents and Emergency Centre at IAEA is the global midpoint for international emergency preparedness and response.
The Incident and Emergency Center plays a role of global focal point for international preparedness and response. Preparedness and response to radiological and nuclear emergencies regardless of the cause. This role is basically in three major areas: information gathering and exchange, provision of public information, and facilitation of international assistance. Another element which is very important is a so-called joint plan of emergency management between international organizations, for which IAEA provides a secretariat. And within these international arrangements, I would like to stress preparedness and response capabilities of each and every member state is important.
Generating nuclear energy also means dealing with spent nuclear fuel. Operating an NPP sometimes means transportation of nuclear fuel across national borders. Such is the case for Bulgaria and Romania. Spent nuclear fuel from the Kozloduy plant is transported back to Russia, where the fuel was originally produced. The fuel is transported by barge on the Danube River. The river actually marks the border between Bulgaria and Romania, so a boat travelling upon it will constantly move from one country to the other.
Any transport of hazardous material is a risk, and even though we take measures to protect ourselves against that risk, we have to be cognizant of the fact that accidents can happen. We do everything to make sure it doesn't, but there is in fact nuclear material in there, and should something happen, we have to be ready to respond.
The Danube River, 7:30 a.m. The barge transporting nuclear fuel is attacked by terrorists. The terrorists board the barge and take control of personnel. There are 11 hostages. At 10 a.m., the terrorists open negotiations with both Romanian and Bulgarian authorities. At 14:45 p.m., the negotiations break down. Special forces on both the Bulgarian and Romanian sides get ready. The Nautilus Emergency Response Exercise is a joint field exercise between Bulgaria and Romania, and as such is an important part of the regional programme on safe nuclear energy. The main objectives of the exercise are to examine coordination between Bulgaria and Romania on security management aspects and to test response plans in case of a nuclear emergency involving the two countries. Inspection of the barge reveals the presence of explosives in the deck covers. The anchor is dropped and the barge is abandoned. Crews from the security patrol are contaminated. Dosimeter alarms are triggered. Safety measures are taken. The exercise has ended. Leaders on both sides sit down to examine the results.
One of the primary objectives of this exercise was to enhance cooperation between Bulgaria and Romania, and with the help, of course, of the other international agencies. We have, I think, already demonstrated incredible steps in that direction in day one and day two of this exercise.
When we have a situation at the border of two countries, then the authorities should be able to harmonize the intervention, the actions in order to protect the population.
It's very important to test the communication channels as well as to test the liaison with and through International Atomic Energy Agency, and of course to test again the emergency response plans and to revise the plans to improve them.
If you don't practice, you don't get better. So exercises are there to practice for things that we hope and expect will never happen. But nevertheless, we have to be prepared. Exercises and emergency planning is like an insurance. And to be good at it, we need to practice it.
With their focus on safety culture, knowledge management, safety assessment and emergency preparedness and response, the regional excellence programs have strengthened nuclear safety in Bulgaria and Romania.
I can say now that we have some success. And of course, establishment of good relationships with the Norwegian regulator, it's also of benefit. Not looking only on this project, safety culture and emergency preparedness, but our collaboration with them or establishing of good contacts, it's a benefit for us as a regulator.
And in 1 year and a half, practically we achieve a rate of over 90% of implementation rate, which represents a real success for everybody involved in the project.
The fact that it's extra budgetary outside of the normal funding mechanism, and the fact that Norway can then kind of identify where they want these funds to go is very beneficial to the member state as well as to the agency. It's been a culmination of a lot of activities, and I can honestly say that it's been a very successful project based on the results we're hearing back from those involved.
Nuclear safety is of global importance. Even if you deal with the smallest facility in one corner of the world, what happens affects everyone. One important lesson has been what kind of instrument a UN organ in fact can be. Because our experience with the IAEA and its ability to coordinate activities and to take out the results to others, and the impact we can have by doing projects with the UN organ is extremely good. And of course, we have only laid the pattern for doing more in other countries, or similar activities and other types of activities, but with a similar setup. Putting IAEA in the middle and trying to use the country's strong motivation combined with the specific knowledge in some areas with a funder, like Norway in this case.
Nuclear safety will continue to be an important area for Norway. We will continue to engage within the framework of the IAEA. We will also be looking into and evaluate the projects which we are now running with Romania and Bulgaria, and in order to evaluate them and to see how we could benefit from what we have been doing with these two countries also in the future, and in future support from Norway.